Welcome and good evening, everyone. If anyone in the audience requires a headset for Spanish translation, please raise your hand and a device will be provided to you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Sí, si alguien requiere unos audífonos para traducción en español, levante su mano y se le va a proveer un dispositivo ahorita. Sí.
Welcome to the Palm Springs Unified School District regular meeting of the Palm Springs Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. We are so glad you're here with us tonight, whether you're joining us in person or watching along on YouTube. Thank you for being a part of tonight's evening. I will now call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Jarrell? Member Espericueta?
Here.
Member Girardi? Board Clerk Irvin?
Here.
Board President Cornett?
Here.
And we have student board members Singh?
Here.
And Aguilar Hernandez.
Here.
Item 6, Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Board Member John Girardi.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement will be read by Desert Hot Springs High School Student Board Member Sarah Singh in English and Student Board Member Leslie Aguilar Hernandez in Spanish.
All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and community to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacities, and confidence needed to success in a rapidly changing world.
Todos los miembros del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Palm Springs están unidos en nuestro compromiso con la equidad. Creamos oportunidades de aprendizajes profundas y significativas. Creamos profesionalismo e involucramos a los padres y a la comunidad para garantizar el éxito de todos los estudiantes. Todos los estudiantes se gradúan con las habilidades, capacidades y confianza necesaria para tener éxito en un mundo de cambio rápido.
Thank you. Our land acknowledgement will be read by Board Member Madonna Jarrell.
The Palm Springs Unified School District acknowledges the Cahuilla as the original stewards of the land on which the Palm Springs Unified School District facilities now sit. We are grateful to have this opportunity to work with the indigenous people in this place. We pay our respect to the Cahuilla people, past, present, and emerging, who have been here since time immemorial.
Thank you. Item 7, report of closed session actions. Clerk Irvin, are there any closed session actions to report?
Yes, Board Clerk. In closed session, the board took action to issue notice to the following certificated administrative employee that may be released from their administrative position and reassigned pursuant to the Education Code Section 44951, effective at the end of the 25-26 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out the appropriate legal notice, employee number 330329. Unanimous vote.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Number 9, approval of meeting minutes for the February 24th, 2026 board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I move the motion.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Abstain.
Aye.
Abstain.
Motion passed. Special recognition. The governing board wishes to recognize and commend the following employees of the month for March 2026. We will have a few short videos produced by our digital media interns.
Well, Chef Adeline puts in endless hours here to make sure that the kids have everything they possibly need. She's our culinary teacher here on campus for the cafe. I'm sure if you've gone to a district event in the last 5 years, you've seen her and her students
puts in
putting
endless
on
hours
fabulous
here to make
foods
sure
for
that-
everybody, making sure that everybody's eating well. But she has such an experience in the Well, Chef Adeline puts in endless hours here to make sure that the kids have everything they possibly need. She's our culinary teacher here on campus for the cafe. I'm sure if you've gone to a district event in the last 5 years, you've seen her and her students putting on fabulous foods for everybody, making sure that everybody's eating well. But she has such an experience in the back of the house that she's teaching our kids professionalism and how to stand up for themselves in an industry that sometimes can be a little tricky.
I've met Chef since my freshman year. She's been like my favorite teacher since then because I admire her because of her personality. She's very outgoing, but at the same time, she's also like a role model. I just feel like her energy of like, let's do this and this, like she's so organized, but at the same time, she's so chill.
At first, like, I did think she was a little like strict, but then I got to like know her more, and I realized how like just fun she was and how very like real she can be.
I feel like it became like a blessing having her as a teacher and like as guidance throughout like high school. I feel like since like my sophomore year, we got the chance to get like really close.
I feel like Chef's a really special person because she's very confident in what she does, and she's like really motivating, and I feel like you can kind of gain motivation yourself from that. 'Cause she's very honest, she's very real, and she knows what she wants, and I feel like that's something that that's a trait that everyone should have, is to be very sure of themselves.
I just want to say thank you, Chef Adeline. It's been an honor working with you. Ms. Ramirez is one of our paraprofessionals here at Rancho Mirage High School. She's been here since the school opened. She is an integral part of the team here in special education just because she has no problem using her voice to make sure that she advocates for the students and is always looking out for their best being.
So I've known Terry personally for a really long time. Miss Terry is extremely kind. She's very, very selfless. Every student is before herself. She's always making sure students are her #1 priority. And Miss Terry just brings a sense of welcoming warmth to you. And so that's my favorite thing about her.
She makes me feel confident in myself. Like, she's always like there to keep me on track, and like she'll keep me doing the right. She points me from right and wrong. Like, she'll know.
She's just such a sweet lady, and also like how like she doesn't tolerate any disrespect.
Miss Terry is very hardworking. Like I said, she's a go-getter. She's always on the move, always making sure that students are the priority, and I find that extremely inspiring, and I just love Miss Terry.
She makes me feel like somebody's there for me, because like I know I have like my bad days, so she's like there to guide me through it and like to talk me through it, so that's what I like about her. I'm very thankful for her, and I miss her so much. I know I haven't seen her in like a couple weeks, but I miss her a lot.
I just want to say right now, currently, Ms. Ramirez isn't on campus, but we still want to recognize her. She's dearly missed, and we can't wait till she gets back with the family.
At this time, will the governing board, executive cabinet, our student board members, Mr. Hendra and Olivia Aparicio, meet me at the front of the room. Governing Board would like to recognize and commend our Classified Employee of the Month, Teresa Ramirez from Rancho Mirage High School.
Sorry.
Teresa, is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to recognize, acknowledge, thank, or bring up to join you?
Bring up? Well, I would say, we have our good days and bad days. And I think having somebody beside you that you can go and talk to, that is there. So I would like to bring up Amber Wilbanks and Coates, Thomas Coates. So these two have really been there for me, my ups and downs. If I have something to say, whether it's good or I got a complaint, I can go to both. And they will listen. They will, give me some little bit of advice, but I know I have someone that I can actually go to. So I really appreciate these two. Yeah.
We'll do 2 rows if we can. Come a little bit forward in front of the table and we'll do 2 rows here so we can fit everybody in. Taller folks in the back, shorter folks in the front, please. Come up in front of the table, Dr. Kovach. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Teresa. At this time, the Governing Board would like to recognize and commend our Certificated Employee of the Month, Jenna Van Loon from Rancho Mirage High School. Jenna, is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to recognize, acknowledge, or bring up to join you?
Oh, this is so fun. Okay. Everyone, I guess. And Kitsia here. Kitsia Trejo is my senior student. She's everything I think that a culinary student should be. So come on up. Give me a hug. Let's go.
If we can have everybody repeat, stand in front of the table, 2 lines, please. Thank you, Jenna. Next up, the Governing Board would like to recognize and commend the following scholars for academic excellence. Can we please have Tyler Jimenez Garvida come up to the front? Mr. Hendra, would you like to share a few words, or anyone from your admin team, about Tyler?
You know I don't like talking. If I get anybody who gets the students to talk all the time. Tyler was nominated by his science teacher, Mrs. Sandoval, and she just talks so highly of him, especially just being entertaining, fun, his conversations with other students. He's kind of grown up on Rancho Mirage High School campus because Dr. Eminence is his father. So it's always nice to see him around. He's always got a smile on his face, and it's just a pleasure to have him at school.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to thank my parents. They've always been there for me. It's always been really nice having them in my corner, even when I'm having problems with like school and such. So I really want to bring them up here.
Thank you so much, everybody. If we can please line up again in front of the table, 2 rows. Let's come on up a little bit more, leave some room for the folks in the back. Thank you, Tyler. The next scholar we'd like to call to the front is Kitsia Trejo. Mr. Hendra, is there anything you'd like to share about Kitsia?
Hey, not more than Chef's already said. She's an outstanding senior in the Culinary Academy, and her leadership ability and everything that's going on in there, she's just a great student.
Thank you so much. Kitsia, is there anyone you'd like to call up to the front or acknowledge to join you?
I would like to bring my grandma into the front. She's been my biggest support through high school and just in general. Like, I just love her. She's my best friend.
Okay, can we get everybody to line up, please? We'll do 2 rows again. Let's step forward a little bit, leaving room for some people in the back. Thank you, Kitsia. The next scholar we'd like to call to the front is Andy Martinez. Mr. Hendra, would you like to share a few words about Andy?
Yeah, Andy's part of our music program. He plays multiple instruments. He's one of the leaders in the band program. He plays the drums, I believe, in the jazz band and the trumpet, and also used to be part of our symphony orchestra, correct? Yeah, great job.
Would you like to call anybody up to join you?
Can I? I want to invite my mom, dad, and brother.
Of course.
Since they always help me out and everything, like supported me, so.
Thank you, Andy. this time, the governing board would like to recognize and commend the following parents for being involved in Rancho Mirage High School activities and events. Daisy Martinez. Mr. Hendra, would you like to say a few words about Daisy?
Daisy's our band booster president, which means countless, endless nights and dedication to the band booster program. She's an advocate for the Rattler program as we start rebuilding that band, and she's been an essential part.
My family.
Okay. Will her family join her at the front, please? Thank you so much, everybody. If we can line up in 2 rows, please. Thank you, Daisy. Next up, we'd like to recognize Tracy Miller. Mr. Hendra, would you like to share a few words about Tracy?
Tracy Miller is a parent that helps out with our cheer program, our softball program, football, baseball. She's there all the time. I've had the good fortune of knowing Tracy now for approximately some odd years in high school. So I did mess up her name in the board report, and she will never let me forget that, but it is the right name on the certificate. And we just want to thank you for all the dedication she's doing for us.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone you'd like to invite up to join you or acknowledge?
My son and my daughter.
Thank you so much, everyone. You know the drill. No, we have one more. Thank you, Tracy. At this time, the governing board would like to recognize Brenda Toledo. Mr. Hendra, would you like to share a couple words about Brenda?
Brenda has done countless hours with our theater department. Miss Bystricki is the one that nominated you for this award. She says that you're always at the dinner theater, and we do have a show this weekend called Once Upon a Mattress if you want to come see it, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I just want to call my daughter here.
Yeah, she would like her daughter to join her at the front, please. Thank you. Okay, last one. If we can get in 2 rows, please.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. And this concludes our special recognitions.
Ready? Item 11, public comment. Clerk Irvin, have we received any electric comments?
No, we have not received any electric comments.
In-person comments. All comments are to be directed to the Board of Education, be under 3 minutes, and be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Board members do not respond to public comments. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the Board of Education? Not seeing any, we'll go ahead with item 12. Our board members' reports will be presented by Sarah Singh and Leslie Aguilar Hernandez. Up first, we have Sarah from Desert Hot Springs High School.
Good evening, everybody. This is my district board report for the months of February and March. Starting off with my agenda, I'll be going over our general updates, our sports updates, our academic achievements, our community events, and our upcoming events. First off with our general updates, our annual Taste of Soul event took place on February 27th. Creating a lively community atmosphere, the school was open for anyone to come support the soul food vendors on campus and to watch the amazing performances by our hard-working Desert Hot Springs High School BSU. Big thank you to Ms. Everett and BSU for putting on an amazing performance. Our Desert Hot Springs High School choir traveled to University of Redlands to put on a spectacular performance. Our band also traveled out to California Baptist University to perform in the CBU Honor Symphonic Band and Wind Ensemble. Amazing performances from both groups. For our sports updates, starting off with our incredible girls basketball team, making it all the way to finals. They did come up short, but that does not define who they are. The team showed incredible amounts of unity and spirit throughout their journey. A big thank you to Coach Vanessa for leading this group and being an amazing role model, as well as always empowering women in all that they do. This team brought together a community through their passion and determination. Congratulations, Lady Eagles. Our baseball and softball team have been on the rise, winning their recent games and showing their amazing golden sportsmanship. Our boys tennis team is also in season, showing incredible unity to start off their season. Show them all your support. DHSHS was glad to host the Desert Hot Springs Elementary Football Tournament. Local elementary schools participated and competed against one another. Bubbling Wells came on top and took the win. Congratulations to them. And on the right, our Empower Her Athlete Club gathered a large group of our female athletes to highlight them for National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Now for our academic achievements, DHSHS hosted KidWind, where neighboring schools come and learn about the science behind wind turbines and wind power. Our DHSHS Real Academy and PSA students all helped with the event. Our Desert Hot Springs High School students book club had the honor of meeting author Sam Keene, a wonderful opportunity for our Golden Eagles. Preparing for the future, our foster youth services visited the college resource fair. They learned about the free opportunities available and are encouraged to soar high. Our DHSHS band community volunteered to raise funds at the Tour de Palm Springs. We had performances by our band and lots of community engagement. For our upcoming events, we have our Unity in the Community event, March 19th at Desert Hot Springs High School, and I invite the board to come enjoy live performances, resources, and food, and to have a great time. This Friday is our Desert Hot Springs High School Eagles Got Talent show at 6:30 p.m. I encourage you all to come watch our amazing performances by our hardworking students and staff, and our amazing class dances that our classes have been preparing for all month. There will be a lot of food vendors and clubs to purchase from as well. And lastly, our Small Business Expo is coming up on April 22nd, where outside vendors and student vendors can sell around school during lunch, highlighting students and small businesses. And that is all for me today. Thank you.
Up next, we have Leslie from Cathedral City High School.
So, hello everybody. Today I'll be going over the month of February and March at Cathedral City High School. So, on my agenda, I have the CTE academies, including HEAL, Data, IB Diploma, and AVID, extracurriculars, including band and school happenings, and then I have sports, our winter sports award night, and our spring sports night. So, starting off, I have the HEAL Academy. The CCHS HEAL freshmen had their mentor meetings in February. The freshman mentor meeting allows freshmen to choose a mentor based on the profession that they want to pursue. These professions include nursing, physician's assistant, EMT, firefighting, and much more. Students meet with their mentor once a month to discuss the paths to achieve their dreams, working on resumes as well as helping them be involved in community service within the respected profession they intend to pursue. HEAL students are also preparing for HOSA SLC, a student-led competition in which students compete in various medical-related fields, including CPR, first aid, medical spelling, and much more. These students are traveling to Ontario, California to compete against 4,000 students in hopes of going to ILC, known as International Leadership Conference, which will be held in Indianapolis and Baltimore. Best of luck to these students. Lastly, our HEAL Academy students are still participating in the NMDP fundraiser in order to raise money for bone marrow transplant research. And next up, I have the Data Academy. So Data dual enrollment students had a photography session, field shootout around the Salton Sea, allowing for their artistic visions to grow profoundly. 48 students competed in Skills USA's regionals, with 18 students qualifying for state during spring break. Data also held its annual Create Day in their studio classrooms to inform all students who are interested in filmmaking. It helped promote the Data Academy, giving students a glimpse into the day-to-day life of Data Academy students. Upcoming events include the Palm Springs International Film Society screening a short film as part of a filmmaker in the classroom, and their annual Data Coffee House, in which they have students and teachers perform, help bring together non-academy and academy students. Data is also getting ready to create a short PSA around the CV link and how it has helped the Coachella Valley. And for slide 5, I have IB Diploma. IB Diploma has had a busy month. On February 18th, IB Diploma juniors and seniors students met to reflect on their academic progress and set goals for the remainder of the year to help improve academic focus and help them achieve academic success. And on March 4th, IB CAS, Creative Activity and Services students, met to share their experience so far to plan their upcoming CAS activities. In addition, many IB courses had internal assessments during this time as students prepare for the upcoming IB exams in May. Best of luck to all of our IB students. And lastly, on March 5th, sophomore students attended a registration presentation in the theater where they learned about the IB diploma program. During this session, they heard from the IB coordinator about programs and heard the difference between pursuing IB certificates and the full IB diploma program. And lastly, for my academies, I have AVID. So on February 26th, AVID presented A through G night at Nellie Kaufman Middle School to encourage students to keep pursuing their academic dreams, as well as showing them the opportunities created by AVID if they chose to continue this program in high school. CCHS AVID sophomores also hosted a mini college fair to elementary students at Sunny Sands Elementary School, where students learned about the importance of higher education and different career paths they may choose to follow. Students also decorated necklaces with universities of their choice. And now moving on to extracurriculars and school happenings. So on February 28th, CCHS band, dance team, and Ballet Folklorico held their annual Stardust performance, in which they had performances, foods, and concession stands, along with carnival-style games for friends and family. This event was a huge success and helped display the talent within our school's performing arts. And to celebrate Black History Month even deeper at CCHS, they held an activity week in February 23rd to the 27th to teach students about African American customs and traditions. Monday, students celebrated African voices with the bookmark coloring activity during lunch. Tuesday, there was a braiding activity to explore identity and honor African culture. Wednesday, students were able to learn about African American athletes, inventors, and other people who have influenced society for greater good. Thursday was movie day, in which students watched Selma to learn about the discrimination and adversity African Americans still face after desegregation, and Friday included a guest speaker. Students and teachers also read about influential African American people, and morning announcements highlighted influential African Americans who have made an impact on society. This month will also be junior testing, and tomorrow is testing rally for the juniors to pump them up and support our scholars. And next up, I have sports. So on March 4th, our winter sports awards night. I wanted to congratulate all of our award recipients and a special shout out to Indy Chacon for being recognized for highest girls GPA with a 4.2 and David Delgado with a 4.6. Lastly, our spring sports came out with a bang. Good luck to all of our scholar athletes. But before I end this, I want to say thank you to the board to inviting me to the African American Parade. It was definitely an honor being able to see just how influential people are and how people have definitely deep roots. And I wanted to say it was an amazing experience being able to see everybody. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie and Sarah, for your excellent reports. Number 13, presentation. Educational service update. Dr. Kovacs.
Yes, I'm so pleased to introduce Jessica Whiteman, our Director of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction. This evening, she'll be providing a progress report on our universal screener, M-Class Dibbles. It's our middle of the year report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to present our middle of the year results. So for the presentation tonight, I'm going to quickly overview just the screener and the measures that are assessed. We'll talk about our results, and I'll have the opportunity to compare the beginning of the year results to our middle of the year results, and then we'll discuss our response to the results. So for the overview, just as a reminder, this is the state required reading screener across the state of California. The purpose is to identify students who may be at risk. We use the information to guide our instruction and then most importantly, monitor their progress along the way. Palm Springs Unified has elected to assess every kindergarten through 5th grade student. Although education code requires only kinder through 2nd, we saw the need to continue to assess and monitor our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students as well. And we are giving this assessment 3 times a year. Education code requires once a year, but we wanted to make sure that we were checking in 3 times a year for progress so that we can make adjustments and monitor that growth. So these are our benchmark windows. So tonight I'll be looking at middle of the year and comparing to that first benchmark. You can see they took middle of the year when we came back from winter break through the first part of February. And this slide is what I showed at beginning of the year as well when I went over those results, because I wanted to share that we have the same notification process in place each and every time students take this screener. So our parents receive a Parent Square letter in English and Spanish notifying them that their child has taken the assessment again and how to obtain the results. In that letter, there are 2 videos in English and Spanish if they want to learn more about the assessment and what the measures mean. And then it shows them how to get to parent view and where they can access their child's Home Connect letter. So each time the Home Connect letter is added with the support of our technology department. So right now, as a parent, you should be able to see your beginning of the year results and your middle of the year results for your child. This is the same report they received at the beginning of the year. It's just updated. The color coding is the same on the data assessments that I will be sharing. Green is at benchmark and blue is above. Red is well below and yellow is below. So they can see how their child does in every single measure. Up at the top is in the circle is the child's composite score. And then on the back of the parent report, it gives them practical strategies that they can do around the home as well to address those areas of need their child may need more practice with. This is just a key for you as we go through the measures to let you know what measures are required for the benchmark for each grade level, kindergarten through, for us, it's 5th grade, and about how long it takes a student to get through each assessment. And then the next slide shares a little bit of the same information, but it also explains what each measure is for, the ability to do, and why they're taking that. So now for the results. The first part of the results report that I'm going to share shares composite data. So what that means is all of those measures that were just listed here, it doesn't just average them. It looks at the importance of each measure, and every measure is given a weight by grade level. So a student could be doing really well in one measure, but they still come up as red because in another measure that might be weighted heavier, they could still need some work on. So I just wanted to point that out. They may take 4 different measures, but certain ones are weighted heavier than others when we look at the composite. So when we dig into this data at the school sites, we look at the composite as a general overview, but what we do is we dig into each of those measures so that we can plan our strategies and our response. And I'll show you some of those measures as we go along. Overall trends that we're seeing from beginning of the year to middle of the year. Our largest growth that we had was with our kindergarten students. And that is what we want. Our kindergarten students have the power to change our literacy trajectory in the district because we want to close those gaps now. You can see from our beginning of the year that we shared, we had some gaps when kindergarten students were entering our school system, and this is when we want to close them. So as we get through some of these reports, you'll see that we are making progress there. Our 4th grade cohort has our largest percent of at and above. You will notice in some of the slides, we are increasing students who are proficient and we're moving them to above. we have had minimal band movement in our well below. So you're going to see that our red and many of the reports show stagnation. However, that does not mean that growth did not happen. As I'm meeting with all the different groups, the cut score changes from beginning of the year till middle of the year to end of the year. So students that were struggling at the beginning of the year not only had to get to the beginning of the year cut score, and also get to the middle of the year cut score. So we're digging into the data for those students to look at the growth and see what we can do to accelerate that growth, because we want them to not only catch up to beginning of the year, but catch up to middle of the year right now, and then eventually our end of the year. And we had significant gains in oral reading accuracy. So that is one of the measures that I'm gonna highlight, which is very important because that means that students are reading words accurately. It's just happening slowly right now. So what happens is first they need to learn to decode the words, and then they become more proficient with the practice that they get. So that's good news for us as we move forward. So this is for our district overall. On all of these reports, you'll see a number to the right, which is the total number of students in that group that I'm sharing that took the assessment. The top bar is the beginning of the year, and the one below that is the middle of the year. So you can see just overall what I mentioned there, we had an increase in our students that are above. And with DIBELS, that is very difficult because DIBELS is a very conservative test when they're measuring proficiency. So they make them continue to test beyond grade level measures unless they score blue. So you could take 4th grade measures and still have to continue and score green, but still have to take some of the 3rd grade and 2nd grade measures if you do not show that you're above grade level. Here are the composite scores for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You can see if you just look at the red for kindergarten, we had our biggest reduction there from 51% being well below to 38% being well below at our middle of the year. And then we increased our at and above also. And then you can see the trend there for 4th grade being our highest performing grade level overall. So the next few slides go through our different demographic groups. Our Hispanic group is our largest group. So you're gonna see very similar data from the overall that I just shared. Our next largest group is our white, and with just shy of 600 students there. And in this group, we did not see the same trend with our kindergarten group. So at our school sites, we are digging into those individual students to target those needs as well. But you can see 4th grade had tremendous growth in our above grade level. Our African American is our next largest group with just under 300 students. And the one thing I noticed with this group was we had about a 9% growth considering the size from beginning of the year to middle of the year in students that being assessed, meaning that those students weren't in our schools at the beginning of the year. But so sometime within that first trimester, they enrolled. So now we'll be able to measure their progress from their enrollment from middle of the year to end of the year.
And also looking there, the percentage is pretty high from the beginning of the year in 3rd grade to the middle of the year.
Yes, for our well below. The increase, yes. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that. You're gonna see that trend with other groups as well. Our cut scores for some of them between beginning of the year and middle of the year are drastically different than from middle of the year, end of the year. So, for example, if you're a student and your fluency is expected to, these are not, I'd have to go back to the slide to see what it actually is, but let's say just for an example, 87 words per minute at the beginning of the year. Great growth till middle of the year expected on this assessment. So they might be expected to read 30 more words by middle of the year, and end of the year, it's like 7 more words. So we're hoping that that drastic cut score in the middle of the year will reap those results when we get to the end of the year when we see that. But we are definitely digging into more than just the composite to see why that's happening.
Yes, I was going to ask at the end, but I got two questions. One, is the beginning of the year cut score indicative of the end of the year, the prior year, where they ended up the prior year?
Some of the measures are the same, but the weight isn't always the same for each measure from year to year. So a weight of a certain measure in kindergarten might not be exactly the same for that measure when you get to first grade. It changes with each grade level. So you can compare, but it's hard to compare composite score.
And this might be early, but I'm curious, what happens between third and fourth grade?
You're going to see our fourth grade cohort, even from beginning of the year, has been our highest cohort scoring. Our third grade, which we're going to dig into the grade levels in a second, and we'll be able to look at, there's another assessment that comes into play in third grade that deals with comprehension. And then our Asian group is just under 200, and this is our highest performing group. You can tell by the green and the blue amounts there. And we have it broken down by English learner. And you can see our English learner group followed that same pattern with our kindergarten students. So we took 70% and well below and reduced it to 50%. And then our other bands continued to grow as well with that group. And this is a breakdown of our students with IEP supports in our elementary. So I'm going to come back to this group and some of the others in a minute when we dig into measures, because for the composite, it is pretty stagnant. But I do want to show some growth that actually is happening, because again, the composite doesn't always paint the whole picture. It does not mean that growth isn't happening. It's when you dig into the measures to see where the work is happening, that growth can still happen within those bands. We just have to start working on making sure we're accelerating that growth. And then our students in dual immersion and our students who are new to the country take lectura, which is the Spanish version of DIBELS. So please, when you look at this, know that this isn't reflective of solely our DI population, because there are students in our English program that are taking the Spanish test for the first couple times until they've had sufficient English instruction, which to me shows why our kindergarten did not follow the normal trend that we have, because we have a higher number of students being assessed in kindergarten, which makes sense being new to our U.S. school system, and not being instructed necessarily in Spanish, but they're taking it. So they will be transitioning over to the English assessment, or in some cases, the teachers will give them both, because they still want to measure how they're doing in English, but the Ed Code requires us to give it in their primary language first.
I guess I'm curious then, why don't our English language learners test it in Spanish?
According to the education code, they want to make sure they've had sufficient instruction in English before we start measuring their English reading abilities. So what's vague is sufficient in the Ed Code. So that's what we've worked with the county on that. So in many of our cases, the first time we'll give it to them in Spanish, but at the most it's a year. We say within a year, then we start, because we really want to see the results of our instruction and how they're working, and them being able to read in English.
Yeah, I want to make a comment, John, about that. The English learner don't mean that they are good in Spanish.
Right.
They have that classification when they was registered in the kindergarten, but they don't know how to write in Spanish, because coming from the Spanish family don't mean that we are teachers teaching them the whole grammatic in Spanish, the whole pronunciation. And I want to ask Mr. Wyman, putting all in together, it's talking about the English learning from kinder to 5th grade. That is a 6-year school with teachers teaching English to those students. Why they don't improve very well?
So
For me, it's like long-term English learner. How long, or the system is not working, something's, and because it's a lot of students, it's 30% of that.
right. Well, this isn't testing their language ability. This one is testing their reading ability as well. So with some students, that can impact their LPAC because they have to be able to read on the LPAC, which is and write as well, right? So listening, it tests all of those domains. So there could be some students if they are struggling to read, that could be causing them difficulties in passing that LPAC, which is why we've had this very big initiative in creating systems in our district to target literacy, because it's going to target so many other areas in our entire system, let alone afterlife, right, with access to all of the things that you need to be literate for. So we have a literacy plan, which I'll talk about some of our systems and response, because you're right, it is a concern. It gives people access to, gives them access to math. It gives them access to all of the other content areas. Even when we look at STAR, when we look at our STAR results, if our students are struggling reading the STAR assessment, that's their access to take the assessment. We want to make sure that they can read it so that we can see what they can do with the information in response to the questions if they're being asked to comprehend. And so the same thing with our English learners. We want to make sure that their ability not to reclassify isn't because of reading, right? We want, this is not focusing on language abilities though, but reading does come into play in that.
Thank you.
Could you just tell me again, who exactly takes this in Spanish? What student would be, what scholar?
So all of our dual immersion students take it, so they are in those results. Our dual immersion students are taking it in both languages. So as you get further in the grade levels, that becomes more reflective of our dual immersion population. That's just why our kindergarten is high. When they enroll, we have to give them a survey, per se, the parents, and it's a questionnaire, and that's what determines if they've had any instruction that would be sufficient for us to give it in English, or if we need to give it in their primary language first. And that's all based off of education code.
So the majority of these students in the upper grades, 3, 4, 5, are our dual language students?
Majority.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to dig into grade level measures. These are all the measures that kindergarten students take, and you can see the one that I have the arrow pointing at, nonsense word fluency, correct letter sounds. That's the true indication of a student's ability to decode. That is what we want, and we're seeing growth there in kindergarten. Our other grade levels, this is one of the measures that's weighted heavily in other grade levels. So if a student struggles with this, it's going to bring that composite score down. When I show you other measures, you're going to see that we are making progress, but students, it's not reflecting in the scores totally here because they're still slow, right? They are decoding, but every single one of these tests are timed. So if you're beginning to learn to read, it's slow in the beginning until you gain fluency, and that's with repetition and practice and your ability to decode words flexibly. So we are making progress. That is definitely one that we are stressing with our systems and our routines that we are using in those primary grades to make sure that they are becoming true decoders and not just memorizing words. First grade, you can see our growth is not as pronounced there in that measure, and so that is why that's something that we're targeting, because we want that growth that we're experiencing in kindergarten to continue in first grade, and them not work on closing gaps from kindergarten. Because right now our first grade teachers are working on closing gaps from kindergarten, our second grade are working on closing gaps from first and kindergarten, and etc. You can see down at the bottom though, that is the indicator that our students, the reading accuracy, that is when students take a 1-minute fluency test. And both of those measures at the bottom, when you take a 1-minute fluency test, they look at how many words you are reading accurately. And then they also look at how many words you read. So they're looking at your speed. So the trend that we're seeing is across our district, our students are reading more accurately. We just need to work on fluency then. So that's the first step, is accuracy. After that, fluency will come. So that is the trend I'm going to dig into as well as we get to some of our other groups.
So, can you go back to that slide for me?
Yes.
Right here at the bottom, that 18% discounted. What does that consist of?
Okay.
And how do they get that?
Great question. So what that means is 18% at the beginning of year of first graders, the test was discontinued. They struggled in some of the other measures, so the system will stop them so that they're not at a frustration level. They weren't even able to get to that assessment because their other measures that led up to that stopped them.
So could that increase that number there?
Well, we didn't have any discontinued at the middle of the year, so they were all able to access that assessment at the middle of the year.
Gotcha.
So that's a good indicator too. Nobody was discontinued there. Second grade, I'm going to go through all the grade levels here and then I'll show it all together. You can see that reading accuracy, again, that 1 minute time to fluency, we can see growth there. You can see green went from 38 to 49 and our red 50, it decreased to 38%. So students are reading more accurately. We just need to work on rate.
May I ask, in the second grade mid-year level for Dibbles, what is the band or expected fluency rate for a second grader mid-year? Just curious.
I can go back. It's on. Okay,
on the
watch your
first
eyes for a
one.
second. Hang on.
Because I know that fifth graders should be reading 130 to 150 words.
So at the very bottom is the fluency. You can see second grade. Okay, you're testing my eyes here. Goal for beginning of the year is 49, and it jumps to 78 words in the minute for middle of the year, and then 94 for end of the year for second grade. One of the cut scores, since we're talking about that, if you notice fourth grade, when I was saying the middle of the year jump is the most dramatic in this assessment, they go from 87 words beginning of the year to 121 middle of the year, and then they add 4 more for the end of the year. So the cut scores are kind of unique. So everyone's been watching that too, because again, it doesn't mean that growth isn't happening. They have to meet those cut scores and look at the weight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, third grade, and Mr. Irvin, this kind of talks a little bit about when we were looking at third grade. You can see that trend here happened with all third graders, where their beginning of the year, the red increased, and that is something we're looking at. That's the first time they take what's called the maze, and that is the comprehension, and it's a unique way that they assess comprehension. So they'll have a passage, and it's something like every 7th word is missing, and they have to pick the correct word to fit in there to make it comprehensible. So there is, and it's timed also. So that is something that we're also working on, making sure students have exposure just to even that type of assessment, because it's something new. Our 4th and 5th grade, you can see these scores. Again, accuracy, you see that trend. 79% of our 4th graders reading accurately on that assessment, and they had better results with the maze on this. And you'll see that same trend with 5th grade. So I wanted to show this. This is the research around the science of reading. And all of Dibbles right there is assessing the bottom part of the rope, with the exception of that maze test that we were just talking about, that comprehension. So this is all a screener just on word recognition. And what this graphic represents is those strands, the green and blue. As students are learning to read, those strands get stronger and they become woven together. And the tighter they are woven together, the more fluent a reader is. So that's the fluency that we're talking about. So where we're at as a district when I look at this data is we are developing each of those strands, and they're not woven tightly together yet, but as we work on fluency, they're becoming tighter and tighter, and then they're woven with the upper part of the rope, which is language. And that's what creates a skilled reader. So that's what I was sharing about the accuracy part. That's all a good indicator because we're developing those strands. We just need them to be woven tighter together so that we can have a fluent reader. And this shows, I just pulled all of the accuracy for our school district in every single grade. And you can see the amount of red, the reduction, and the increase in green. For this measure, they don't use an above. So you just have those three colors. And I just want to share that trend happened, not just by grade level, but it happened with our English learners. The same trend happened with our students with IEPs. I looked at all of our other groups. Same trend. I pulled out all of the reds. So just the students that are scoring red. I've looked at every single school site because those are our students that are going to reading intervention. And I looked at all of the reds from beginning of the year to middle of the year, and they followed the exact same trend. I also shared this data with all of our groups, our literacy committee, our reading intervention teams, our principals. They've brought it back to their sites during action planning. And our reading intervention teachers, they're the ones that are giving additional support through the system that has been created for intervention supports. And they have all shared the same thing. Many students are still scoring in red, but there is significant growth. They're reading accurately. It's just slow right now because they are just becoming more fluent in those decoding skills.
And did you see the same type of growth in African American students?
Every group. Okay. Every group that we looked at.
Sorry, you may have already mentioned this. How many words per minute would a student grow on an average per month? Is there a target, like 5 to 20 minutes per minute?
I'd have to look that up to find on average. And I think a lot of that can vary depending on where they're at in their journey, right? Because some students will all of a sudden take a huge leap. And other students, they're working on some skills that it's a little bit slower. So when you look at the research around the ladder of reading, they talk about half of students need systematic, explicit instruction, which is when we talk about our response, that's what we're trying to make sure we're providing our students with high amounts of practice and repetition. For maybe 50% of actually less than that, when we look at like the top 30% of the population, reading comes fairly easy for them in their brain. It talks about the superhighway. It's created fairly easy for them. Others need explicit systematic instruction with high amounts of practice and repetition. And then they compare it to if you're an English learner, it's not just the highway that you're creating from the front of the brain to the back of the brain, it's a multi-lane highway because you're connecting to different languages throughout that and making connections along the way. So it's definitely more complex. So this shows, I've showed this graphic before. We are looking at all of these areas. When we work with our district literacy committee, we have a rubric that assesses each of these areas that we do multiple times a year to look at our progress. We look at, are our systems working? Are we having growth? We just met last Friday, and we have a representative from the county there who's been graphing it as well, and we use that data to drive the actions along with the data that we're getting now from this screener. So the screener is targeting the blue dial, the database decision making, and the assessment, but it's impacting all of those other areas as well when we respond to it. After the beginning of the year, we set 3 goals. So when I come back at the end of the year, I'll report out on our progress, but I just wanted you to see that we did set goals based off the beginning of the year. School sites have gone and communicated the goals to their sites, and they've looked at their site data to determine what does 40% look like in our kindergarten data. So this first goal, that's as an example. So our first goal is increase percentage of kinder through 5th grader students scoring at and above. And the reason it is varied by grade level was through a very strategic conversation with the group. We know that we need to, and it's easier to close the gap a student's first year in kindergarten than it is to close a gap as a fifth grader, right? Because you have multiple years of catch up that you're playing. So we will continue to increase this as we go because our goal is much higher than this. And then we also set a goal for English learners and our students with IEPs. And for these goals, because our amount of well below is more significant, we are focused on moving students out of the well below into the next band, and then that will continue. So we have a percent there that by the end of the year we're working towards. And sites are looking at what that data means for their numbers at their sites also. Again, here are our instructional agreements. The work that we're doing, the routines that we have in place in word recognition is what will impact this specific assessment alongside small group instruction. So we have small group instruction as a requirement in every single classroom, kinder through fifth grade, at least 4 days a week, and it's data driven. So they're using data from this assessment to look at individual needs, group students, gather resources, and meet and target those needs. And as I was meeting with different groups, an aha happened with, if you look at the amounts that we're moving from green to blue, and they said that's because not just our students that are struggling are getting small group, but our students who are proficient are also getting small groups. So we're making sure that every student is getting pushed, right? And that their individual needs are being met. So systems and support, we are utilizing all of our instructional coaches and TOSAs. They are supporting all the ongoing work with letters, with this new assessment, and they have been providing the professional development around our systems and routines and literacy. Specifically, we had on October 13th, we had an entire conference that they were the presenters for and supported. All of our small group instruction, the LCRS grant, those are our literacy coaches that are funded for 3 years by the state. Their specific target is small group instruction, making sure that our teachers understand the DIBELS data and can respond to it, and they're supporting them with that. We have our reading intervention, which I mentioned earlier. We're using the program UFly. They're progress monitoring the students, and that's how we were able to have those conversations when they said, no, Jessica, they may still be read, but we've seen growth happening, and it's going to continue. So we have reading intervention happening at every elementary school. As I mentioned, data monitoring at our literacy committee. Every single group that shared out what they noticed, as I have them do a glow and a grow, and from every single group they shared the data. We're so proud of our teachers. They're taking this data, they're analyzing it, and they're responding to it. So that has been a huge change that this assessment has allowed in foundational skills. We give them some release time on behalf of the district to be able to look at this information as a team. And then with our administrators, we spent 2 years going through letters for administrators and looking at what teachers were learning so they know what to look for in the classroom and how to support their teachers. But what we are doing now is, as a group of administrators, we're going to each other's sites to see how each school has taken this information and what the system looks like at their school. So we're learning from each other as we go to each other's schools and looking at the best practices. I wanted to end with some site kindergarten examples because circling back, kindergarten has the ability to change our trajectory in the future as we move forward. We want to close the gaps now, and we had numerous sites. Almost every site had significant growth, and I just wanted to show you some of this growth from different places throughout our district. I always land on that red too, like the difference in the red. And I'm ending right here with this site. You can see what, because of systems and routines, when I spoke to all of these schools, they talked about routines, strong collaboration, and responding to data. That's how they're seeing results. So you can see at this specific site, the growth from kindergarten, it's carrying into first grade and then second grade as well.
LAN is what school?
Pardon me?
Landau.
Landau. So I just want to give all of our teachers in the district kudos because they have been, it's learning. They've all been open to learning, to trying new practices, to revisiting old practices that we're finding we want to circle back to, and really digging into their data to look at what each individual student needs. So it's been amazing to work with all of them. And then I'll be back at the end of the year to show you our progress there.
Thank you. Are there any more questions?
Really quick, can you go back and say where do you find that to get the report as a parent from Parent View?
Sure. If you go into Parent View and then look under Documents, and it will be there. You should have beginning of the year and then middle of the year. I'm trying to remember the title, but it'll probably say either trimester 1 and trimester 2 or BOY, MOY. I have to look. I have it in my email of how it's named.
All right, I'll reach out to you. I tried it. I couldn't find it on mine, so I'll reach out to you later.
I'll help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, Jessica, I just wanted to know, is there an area on Parent View or somewhere housed for parents to go for resources? So if my second grader, I would like to practice fluency passages, is there a place, a link that tells me to go to grade 2 passages in the
Right now, the report that's there gives them more just kind of practical things you could do. I would advise them to reach out to their teacher or their school site because either their teacher can give them resources. We have literacy coaches, instructional coaches, or reading intervention that are happy to give them additional resources based off what specifically what they're asking for.
I read those narratives and they're great ideas, but sometimes parents need that passage right in front of them, with a link. And
I'm sure they're all happy to give any resources that parents may ask for.
Are conferences this week?
Conferences were last week, so they had this information. Parents had it before conferences as well. We wanted to be intentional with that timing.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you. That's excellent. We'll go on to board member comments. Do we have any comments from the board? Sergio, you want to go ahead and start?
Thank you. First, I want to congratulate the student board member, Sarah Singh and Leslie Aguilar for your great presentation and keeping us updated about what's happening in your school and the school district. And in the in February 26, I start for a little bit to the DLAC meeting, just to express my support to that committee and encourage the parents to keep participating. All the time I'm happy to see that they have majority of the parents there all the time. They are very motivated to be part of that DLAT committee. And also in the same day, in the afternoon, I'm attending to the NNC Young Creator presents SOS Fire in the Mary Pickford Theater. There was a good movie. I know that the student had to spend weeks to prepare and to produce this movie, and they had good support from their teachers. And also in the 227, I assisted to the Taste Absol events in Desert Spring High School with fellow board members, and was all the time showed a good opportunity to be together with the community and the whole school district, and also to see the student presenting in different areas, and also to honor the months at the African American History month. And also in the February 28th, the Black History Month parade, all the time. It's very impressive how many participants have. That is a long parade. We was like not in the middle, and we end the whole participant in the front of us. When I return to the starting point, many participants are still waiting for this turn. It's a lot of, I think it's one of the biggest parades in the Coachella Valley. Yeah, thank you. And in the March 4th, I'm attending the Riverside County Office of Education, State Education with Dr. Funchis, another administrator. And I want to congratulate Dr. Dimick for their presentation, their participation in that event. And I want to thank Dr. Gomez the way that he do the state education, because he do his presentation including the whole school district, highlighting one of the few things that they do right, and it's a good opportunity to learn from us from what the other school districts are doing. And in the March 6th, Palm Spring, I'm starting the Palm Spring High School one act play night at the Richard Center for the Arts. So was good performers. Was like 2 hour performing all the time. I'm very surprised everything that the student have to memorize to perform. Congratulations to all the students. And the last Saturday, I'm attending to the Live to Rise honorary Ruby Rivera in the Palm Spring Air Museum, and was also a good opportunity to make connection with elected officials from Coachella Valley and also members of the community. Thank you. That's it.
Who'd like? Oh, Mr. Girardi?
I'll be brief. First of all, Sarah and Leslie, thank you very much for your wonderful presentations. We always learn a lot when you guys present to us, so thank you about your schools and activities. I want to congratulate the Black Student Union at Desert Hot Springs High School. They did a wonderful Taste of Soul last Sunday night. I was real impressed with the performances that went on, the presentations that were presented, and this one young lady, the MCs were just incredibly well done. And this one young lady recited just an incredibly powerful poem. I didn't get her name, but I just want to congratulate her. It was really well done. And congratulations to the people that put on the Palm Springs Black History Parade. Again, as my colleague said, it was a really long parade, well attended, nice way for the African American community to celebrate their heritage. Thank you to One Future Coachella Valley, who had their celebratory dinner the other night. They've really assisted and supported many of our students and scholars throughout the Coachella Valley for many years now. I was surprised to hear that they've given out $20 million in scholarships. And they had some of their students come back and present to us, and their stories were very compelling and very well done. And I didn't get to make it Saturday night, but congratulations, Ruby. Well deserved on your honor from Lift to Rise. And I'll wrap up by introducing former city councilman from Desert Hot Springs, Mr. Roger Nunez, who's attending his second board meeting, so maybe he's telling us something. So anyways, I'll leave it with that, and thank you very much.
Okay, Mrs. Terrell?
First of all, I extend my same comments about your amazing preparation, including all of the details and helping us see your school. And I appreciate your comment about being in the parade. It's the first year that our student board members have ridden with us and been with us side by side, and we're so proud that you were with us, okay? Then tonight we had Karen Dimmick, Deanna Killian, and Jessica Whiteman do such great detailed reports to us, answer our questions, help us understand and see our students achieve greater goals. And thank you to all of you. As I look back, I have some honorable mentions. Tonight was a sensory adventure night at Cathedral City Elementary. I missed it, where they celebrated inclusion and they did sensory activities for students and parents. Also, I've been getting messages from Dylan Lindley about raising the number of panorama surveys and striving to get numbers. And I appreciate the team there that's getting the parents excited and looking at numbers jump and giving them feedback and encouragement to answer the surveys. We are very excited about continued CPR trainings that we're getting information about. There's equity trainings continuing. The continued work on increasing attendance, we're seeing those results and lowering suspension rates. So thank you again for sharing that information. Administrators classified certificated employees of the year. Kudos to all of you. We are so excited and thrilled to see you be honored this time of the year. Back with our school board members, I was with Mr. Irvin and Mr. Speriqueta at the theater, the science fiction film from our expanded learning program, the SOS Files. And there were about 11 talented writers and producers and filmmakers at the Pickford that night. Great job for that entire production. The kids were so proud and jazzed. The parade, I mentioned that. I was on Monday with the Adopt the Arts celebration fundraiser called Sound and Vision Awards, honoring Bad Company, Paul Rogers. And the musical director was our Matt Sorum. We call him our Matt Sorum because he has dedicated himself to adopting the arts here in Palm Springs Unified. He had 12 volunteer musicians from different historic rock groups. And then there was on the side, I didn't know that, there was a group standing there. And I showed a picture to someone, they said, Madonna, that's free. It's an English rock band from the 70s. The whole group was standing there. Part of this production and raising money for our students. So thank you to Matt and all of the volunteers on that. This past Saturday, I joined a Zoom, and I was for 2 hours with the board members from across the county. I'm sure you got an invitation for the Riverside County School Boards Association, a local association that's starting to try to get back up, bringing us together, creating events. The last event they had was a speaker, and they had a small fee, and they had Dan Rather as one of the speakers to address any of the board members or anyone that would want to see him in Riverside. They're going to be sending you invitations to their meeting on a Monday night, and I asked them to please change it to the weekend because Monday nights for us with traffic is not is easy, and they still voted for Monday night. What can I say? The Lift to Rise program with Joe Mora and Ruby. This is a program that stresses advancing affordable housing and fair wages and economic mobility. Joe came up to me and said, we couldn't have done this work during COVID without Ruby. And that was a real life example. He said, we provided what people needed in that time of COVID for their housing and survival needs. And so it was an honor to be there with him and honoring Ruby. And lastly, last night I had a chance to just jump on for the APAC meeting at the end after Jim Pfeffer talked about LPAC. And it was a short meeting. And I think that I'm going to continue to watch. They're excited about the Kente, maybe Charlie will talk about it, the Kente Stole ceremony coming up in May at the Richard Center. So that's what I have.
Yes. All right. So I as well want to say congratulations to you guys for those presentations from the student board members. You guys always do a wonderful job, and we appreciate hearing what goes on in your school. I would like to also say congratulations to Rancho Mirage parents, those students, as well as the administration that got the awards here this evening. And I also, with some of the other board members, attended the youth creators. I want to say congratulations and thank you to Christian Sesma. He is over the program with the SOS files. There with the young creators. Also, want to say congratulations and thank you to Amber Gascoigne as well for putting on. Those students do an absolutely wonderful job. And speaking of memory, those students seem like they have to memorize long scripts as well, and they do a wonderful job at that. So February 27th, I also attended the Taste of Soul event in Desert Hot Springs. Great, great, great. Always there to hear all those wonderful students, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the leadership that they have there at Desert Hot Springs High School is great. I want to say thank you to Omar Tinoco. I want to also say thank you to Miss Everett in the BSU department. You guys always put on a great show, and I love to go there. On February 28th, we all attended the Black History Parade. I want to say a special thank you to Lily as well as Monica. We drove in a beautiful Hummer as well as Escalade. So you guys did a wonderful job getting us a vehicle, and it was great to see you students as well, and the little orange truck that was cute as well. Next is March the 6th. I was also there as well with the One Future event. I want to say congratulations to Dr. Demick. She got an award there at that event, The Future That Takes Flight. So she's got an award there, and she did a wonderful job. And it's great to see her recognized earlier tonight. She did also a great presentation in our study session. And so that you guys will be able to see now. So the study sessions will be available for anyone in the public to have an opportunity to see all of the wonderful things that we talk about and the things that we deal with when you are not available at 3:45. Sometimes you have different things like you have to pick up your children. Sometimes you might still be in the school. This gives you an opportunity to be able to see what goes on in our study sessions, which transitions if you watch the study session that's currently going to be available, you will be able to see something that was important that piggybacks to our in and capping our Black history with African American studies. I won't tell you the results of it. Just make sure that you watch and see that our African American studies, AP African American study has had results that was take place in our study session. And March the 9th, I was at the the APAC meeting, and Jim Pfeffer talked about LCAP. And he always does a wonderful job talking about our LCAP. I don't believe that there's anything that ever gets by Jim. Jim has every answer to every question. And so I just want to say, Jim, you do a wonderful job of being prepared. You know that like the back of your hands, and you do a wonderful job. And that concludes my comments.
Thought I posted, okay. Oh, thank you, Sarah and Leslie, for always providing us with really excellent reports about what's going on at your schools and community. Also, tonight, congratulations to tonight's honorees from Rancho Mirage High School. It was really great to see how many people came out for them. Thank you to Diana Killian for your update on Black history and all the great discussion that we had with that, and to her and Dr. Demick for their team for their college and career innovations report, and also to Jessica Whiteman for giving us an update on our elementary reading dibbles results, which is really was a wonderful report, and really good to see that our kids are making progress. So thank you for that. I attended the Superintendent's Parent Advisory Committee meeting. Our schools were really well representative. Parents spoke positively about our expanded learning enrichment classes and camps. Saturday schools, newcomers support translating club at Nellie Kaufman Middle School, Family Services Center, and schools advisory period. Parents suggested looking into middle school gyms. Also accessible playground equipment, busing, tailored intervention, and improving in attendance. I also attended Taste of Soul, which was great. was a great opportunity to see students as they did. They did excellent performances and actual presentations about Black history, so it was really a great event. It was really well attended also. So thank you to the administrative team at Desert Hot Springs High School and also to the leaders there. Along with Dr. Frenchess and other board members, I attended the Black History Parade, which was long, but it was also really fun. I'm so glad that our student board members were there to participate with us. Also, along with Joan Boyko, I attended the Desert Hot Springs Club fashion show and fundraiser. The Desert Hot Springs is celebrating 73 years of providing scholarships to graduating seniors, youth programs, and community. So really congratulations and a big shout out to them. Also, I attended a Palm Springs Women's Luncheon. The club has given scholarships to graduating seniors since 1938. The Rancho Mirage Women's Club also supports our youth and has an upcoming event on March 29th. Our community is really lucky to have so many community resources out there and groups that really do support our youth. And I really would like to say a big thank you to them. Along with Dr. Fenchess and Dr. Kovatz and Mr. Rao, I also attended the Foundation for the Arts, the fundraiser. It was a very loud night, but it was a very great night, so it was lots of fun for our Adopt the Arts Foundation. Thank you to them. Also, Dr. Funches and Mr. Girardi and I met in a 2x2 meeting with the Palm Springs mayor and city manager. We discussed mutual interests areas, and we also got to really see what's going on with the city. So really, we thank them for their support and to the city. I also attended with other board members and staff the One Future Valley celebration where Dr. Karen Demick was honored. And I also attended Live to Rise where Mrs. Ruby Rivera was honored. Thank you to both of these really organizations for they do so much for our youth, not only our youth and families, but for the community as a whole. So thank you to them. That's it. So Dr. Funches, you're up next. Oh, I always skip this. So I'm sorry. I always go past 15. Okay. Student board member comments. Do you have any comments from our student board members? Like to go first. Leslie?
Yeah, I can go first. I want to say thank you to Sarah for your presentation. It was cool to see, but I think mine was better. And then I want to say thank you to Ms. Whiteman on her presentation. I thought it was great. It was good to see, and I think it was interesting to see the gaps between minority groups. But I think it's also very significant as we saw how there was a significant gain in the oral reading within our minority groups. And I feel like this just goes to show that they're in a great learning environment that helps them to grow. And it shows that, and like the small groups that they work in together, I think it's great because it gives students special attention, allowing for even more growth. And it's not just for the kids who need more help, it's for everybody. And I think that's great that we want to see better results. And I want to say thank you to the board for inviting me and Sarah to the Black History Parade. It was a great experience seeing how people were connected to their culture. And it was just great to see how there were so many beautiful people. The vibes were great. And I think it just goes to show how far humanity has come and to celebrate and accept diversity. And that is all for me.
First, I'd like to say thank you, Leslie, for your presentation. It was amazing. I want to say thank you to the board for those of you who attended Taste of Soul. It was really amazing to see everybody come together, and I'm glad to hear that you guys liked it because behind the scenes, our BSU, Miss Everett, our USB class, and our whole school just worked really hard to put on a really good community event. I would also like to say thank you for the opportunity of letting us be in the Black History Month parade. It was super fun, and it was really amazing to see the community come out and everybody have such a big smile on their face. And for all the comments I heard sitting in the cart saying, like, yes, let's go, our students, and cheer on our ambassadors, it was really nice to feel recognized and to see the community highlight us. And then going back to kind of my presentation, I do want to invite all of you guys to please come to our talent show this Friday at 6:30. I will be the MC, and I will also be dancing in it, so be sure to come. Dr. Funches will also be a judge, so so please, I hope you all do go. If you would like to buy a ticket, please reach out to me. And then one last thing, my USB leadership class is doing a fundraiser, and if anybody is interested in supporting, then please talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to item 16, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Board President Cornett, and I concur with all statements made about Sarah and Leslie and the work that you continue to do. I've watched you very closely, and you've grown a great deal. Your presentations are sharp, crisp. Adding the academic achievement pieces only makes it better, so thank you, and I'll be there Friday night judging, right? I also want to take a moment to thank Dr. Kovacs and the Ed Services team. Job well done tonight from the study session. Dr. Killian, Dr. Dimick, Jessica Whiteman continue to push things forward for the benefit of our scholars, so thank you very much for that. And that's what I want to focus on with the few moments that I have, just about the excellence and the people that serve this community in our school district. So next slide, please. And I want to start by highlighting the excellence that we saw from the Black History Committee and the scholars at DHS, HS with Taste of Soul. So you see our board members there, Mr. Clayton Hill. Down at the bottom, you see the vehicles that were spoken about. Job well done to Monica and Lily, but also our student board members. And being out there, making sure that we're representing and taking it all in with all of our community members from all walks of life. I want to say thank you. That's a big deal for this community. Job well done. Excellent individuals in PSUSD. Next slide, please. And this brings us to human resources. Under Clayton Hill's leadership and the administrators in HR, job well done on Saturday. Excellent recruitment fair, sir, bringing in over 250 candidates to the district to consider the best of the best for our scholars. Job well done, excellent work, and they look great right there, wouldn't you say? Nice job, sir. Excellent work, but more importantly, bringing in those to serve our community. Next slide, please. And then Model SARB District. If you didn't know, we've been recognized as a 2026 Model SARB District. I want to take a moment to thank Laura Musel and her Student Services team for a job well done. That is not easy to achieve because it's bringing together our community partners, our different systems like attendance systems, transportation systems, mental health systems, housing supports, and culturally responsive practices. Job well done, Student Services team. Laura Musel, thank you. Next slide, please. Dr. Karen Dimick, we've heard a lot about her tonight. She represented the district very well at the Riverside County Office of Education, State of Education event. But what stands out about Dr. Dimick, she cares about those that she works alongside and that she serves, and it comes through with everything that she does. So we gravitate towards her. Thank you, Dr. Dimick, for representing Palm Springs Unified School District with excellence. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. And then Renee Brunel. I wanted to point out something about Mrs. Brunel. She might be a little shy around being recognized, but when you go up against Cal OSHA, you really don't come out on top. And I received a report that she interfaced with Cal OSHA around some questions that they had about our heat and illness prevention program and some other things that they were asking us about. But she took it upon herself to engage with Cal OSHA leaders, attending their hearings, attending the mediation sessions, retaining defense counsel, and persisting time and time again, and got the win for Palm Springs Unified School District. Good job, Renee Brunel. Hats off to you for your excellence. Next slide, please. And then Ruby Rivera. We were at the event the other night for Lift to Rise, and our board and myself, you see in the picture, but Ruby Rivera, being a community member, not only a community member, but an educator in our district that cares about the entire Coachella Valley and helping to provide affordable housing for our community members. Hats off to Ruby Rivera. Thank you for leading with excellence. And then finally, I'd like to point out, next slide, please, Marion Bouchot. If you didn't know this, Marion is being recognized with our Portrait of a Graduate video at the California Public Relations Association CalSPRA Excellence Communication event this Friday. So we're gonna play that video just to remind you of the work that Marion does and go out on an excellent note. Job well done, Marion. We are very proud of you. Hats off to Karen Dimmick as well in this video and the scholars that were there as well. So thank you. Please play the video.
Students, families, educators, industry leaders, and community members have come together to define the essential skills that every student in PSUSD will develop. These skills are integrated into curriculum across all grade levels to ensure that every student is prepared to succeed.
The communication, work ethic, problem solving, and collaboration skills are all very important in the terms of academic success and even personal life outside of school.
I became a confident communicator by becoming more involved in my school.
And transitioning into the PSUSD district really showed me the opportunities that I can achieve when strengthening my communication skills.
Work ethic is when I'm given a task, it is my responsibility to complete that task to the best of my abilities.
I like to be in multiple extracurriculars because it gives me the motivation to be successful and have multiple connections. When I see a problem, I do not see it as an obstacle, I see it more as an opportunity to grow and challenge myself.
Collaboration means many things to me. I think knowing when to step down and letting another person take charge has really showed me how collaboration cannot just mean where you can give everything of yourself, but knowing how to collaborate with others and their strengths as well.
These skills are something that will carry you throughout your whole life experience. As an adult, as a parent figure, as a leader, in any aspect that you go throughout in life, these are the very four and vital important skills that you need to have.
I want to thank all of our leaders here, our community, our staff. Continue to lead with excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 17, approval of positive certification of solvency second interim report for the 2025-6 school year OE-5. Mr. Jeff Simmons will present the second interim report.
While she's pulling up the presentation, I'll just go ahead and get started here. My first comment after Jessica's presentation here to Dr. Kovac was, how in the world do I compete with that? So just a fantastic presentation there. I don't think I can compete with that, but I'll get through this as best as I can. As you know, we kind of start at each interim. As we move from interim to interim, we're also getting into next year's budget and so forth. So we kind of focus on what's happening nationally, go down to the state, and then what's happening local, and then try to project that local out to the out years, which is the next 2 years. So I would like to thank the board and the cabinet and the fiscal team, especially Tony Carrillo here, who develops the multi-year projection, and his team that goes through and make sure everything's accurate in our Galaxy system. But I'd also like to thank Human Resources and Ed Services divisions, because without everybody doing their role and maintaining their own budgets and whatnot, we would not be able to do what we do here. So. I think we got it. Monica, you can't count this against my 5 minutes,
Yeah,
you
I
said.
already started it. I'll restart, Jeffrey.
Yeah, this isn't going to be 5 minutes, sorry. I'll do the best I can, though. All right, we'll we'll get through this pretty quickly. I know that, spoiler alert, there isn't much change between first interim and second interim, and I do recommend a positive certification. So we already kind of did this one, and we did the shout outs. So now let's get to, uh-oh, this is not pulling up correctly either. Man, we're just having some fun here. This is not pulling up the same way it did. Can we switch to the PDF maybe?
On the agenda item?
Yeah, this switch to. How about if we just do the side portion, because I saw it on there. Yeah, right there. There you go. I'll just go down one at a time. All right, so just like this, I was talking about the artificial intelligence stock market compared to the non-artificial intelligence stock market. You can see the green line shows that, and the blue line shows the non-AI industry. So we are heavily dependent as far as the stock market, and we've seen this before with the big tech boom and stuff, and things really fluctuate, and so it could be some very volatile times, or it could be some very wealthy times, if you will. So you never know with the stock market and how that's going. The same with the GDP I talked about, that 4.3% is the second highest in the last 15 quarters. That was quarter three, so we'll see what happens in quarter four and as we move into 2026, but that was positive news. Some of the things in the U.S. economy, though, as far as headwinds, that persistent inflation, the labor market still holding over 5% unemployment, the global growth and trade, policies and so forth. Some good tailwinds, though, that we have to look forward to is the investments in AI, like I talked about, and some of the other things that have happened as far as the federal stimulus policies, promoting growth and consumer resilience is still really there. Uncertainties here we've talked about this before with the tariffs, and obviously there's something new that happened within the last couple of weeks that definitely created some uncertainty from when this was put together. So a lot of things going as far as the U.S. economy so far. When we break it down into the governor's budget and what he did, and this was January, we go to and we'll get a May revised update. But there was a situation with the governor's budget where he estimated the revenue up another $42 billion from where it was referenced in June of 2025. So where he had it in June of 2025, because of new tax revenue and stuff, he was able to up his revenue projections in 2024 and 25 to $4 billion additional, and then 18 billion additional for 25-26, and then as he moved into 26-27, an additional $20 billion in projections. So that's an increase of 7% over the 3 years combined. And again, they don't quite do it the same way at the state level that we do it here. We do current year and 2 years up. They do it backwards and forwards, so because they're still collecting, in revenue. So despite that, in 26-27, they're still facing a deficit of about $9 billion, and those are some of the things that he's done to kind of correct that deficit, which is delaying 2 schools, $5.6 billion. And I'll show you a graph of what that looks like in a little bit here. Also suspending a rainy day deposit for 2.8. So he's made some maneuvers here that have allowed him to have this $9 billion in solutions to make up for that deficit. So they also look forward, And the LAO's office, Legislative Analyst's Office, looks forward to the out years and their projections. So as you can see here, there's still quite a bit of deficit spending in these out years here, or deficit projections anyway. So despite the maneuvers that the governor has made, we still have these out years that the LAO's office is projecting, $20 million and $25 million deficits in each of these years. So it's still pretty volatile out there, but we continue to move on. I thought this slide was pretty interesting. It kind of shows the whole state budget, and I didn't realize I knew how education affected the budget, about 40% in K-12 education. But then you have if you look at it between health industries and Medi-Cal and education, that takes up pretty much the entire state budget. Then you've got a small little amount there for transportation, housing, and EPA and so forth, and then corrections. So you just got that small little piece of the pie that's for the rest of the budget besides healthcare and education. So the risk of the state budget, I already kind of talked about, what's happening in those out years of $22 billion in the first out year, and then another $45 billion in the next two out years. The stock market reliance on AI and some of the federal policies that are going on, as well as the Medi-Cal costs and so forth. I try to put these slides together to where they're easily understood by all of us and the public, so we don't have to speak too much to these. And if anybody wants to go back and review, it's easy to kind of understand. Most of these slides were put together by school services at the governor's budget workshop, so I was able to pull those and then along with my own too. So as we look at this slide, it goes over that $5.6 billion that I talked about. You can kind of see on the far right there, districts are facing things like declining enrollment, deficit spending. We're certainly facing those. And now we got this little settle up issue where the governor owes us an additional $5.6 billion that's projected from 25-26, but he's not necessarily, at governor's budget, he wasn't planning on paying us that money. He was planning on borrowing it for other uses outside of education. We'll see what ultimately happens. He's getting a lot of pressure from the legislature on this particular topic in order to do something that helps the schools, such as pay down a STRS payment or PERS payment or something like that will certainly help with our budget. Another thing here that the governor proposed is a discretionary block grant. We got one this year, and it was, a little over $5 million, I think it was. And then this next year, 26-27, we're projecting about $8.9 million. So that's how much we're going to get out of this $2.8 billion one-time fund. It is discretionary. We already have all of these things, so our proposal is basically to use it for deficit spending. Because we're have all these things in place, we still have a deficit issue going on. So we already have the career pathways. We're already doing a lot with. We have the declining enrollment. We have dual enrollment. We have ELD and mathematics framework and all the support that we have there. So the recommendation really is to hold steady and use this discretionary block grants as they come in for our deficit spending to kind of prolong what we need to do with the stabilization plan and see how much we may need to do with that plan as the years move on. This is another thing that is a bonus for us. We received a little bit more in the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So this has quite a bit of people under it, even though it's one time, but it was an insistence of particular utilization for this money. So as this expires in 27-28, this allowed us to kind of get through that year with most of those positions and then really look at 28-29 and through the LCAP process decide what we're going to do with these positions, what's working, what's not working, and so forth. So it helped us with a little bit of a delay. And then, as you know, some of the major cost drivers, just kind of a reminder, step and column, health benefit caps, looks like those may be going up 7 to 10%. Utilities have gone up about 15%. Insurance premiums, which is our property and liability costs, those are increasing this next year about 15%. So we're pretty constrained by a lot of these things and things that are continuing to escalate. I wanted to kind of show you a few trends from the state and then kind of point out how Palm Springs is, I guess for lack of it, not necessarily keeping up with these state trends, which does cause a bit of stress on our budget, our future budget, and so forth. So, we really need to catch up to, on some of these things, we need to catch up to the state. On other things, we need to try to back off from the state, but I'll kind of go through those. So as you can see, ADA to enrollment trends, the state average here has drastically improved from 22 all the way to 23, 24, and 24, 25. They've gotten over 92% average from all the districts. Well, we're still sitting in the 90 percentile there. So we really need to bump up that ADA percentage, especially since our enrollment continues to decline. And that's not to say that we haven't been trying. I mean, you just saw we have a model SARB situation going on. We just need to figure out even more strategies of making sure that the parents are getting those students to come to school. So that certainly will help. As we look through these next ones, I've talked about this several times. Currently, we're in a situation because we get paid for the 3-year average of ADA, that our funded ADA is quite a bit more than our actual ADA. Well, that's getting closer and closer. So I talked about a fiscal cliff when I first got here in 23-24. To avoid that fiscal cliff, the governor said to use the 3-year average. So now we're on that fiscal slope. So as you can see in 23-24, we were paid for 1,400 students more, and then almost 800 students more in 24-25, all the way down to now in 27-28, it's projected to be only about 111 students more. As those get to the point where they equal, then we get paid on current year, and at that point, I'm hoping that declining enrollment has gone away, and we begin to increase at that point. We are getting more students moving into our district, so that's a good thing. I thought this slide was pretty interesting from the state level, how much has been hired for support purposes between certificated and classified compared to the enrollment. And we don't differ much from the state in this trend. As you can see, classified FTEs have gone up by over 19% since 1920, and we've kind of had the same, pretty close to the same percentage. Same thing's true with teacher FT. So all these supports, and as you can see, if they were just talking about teachers here, PSUSD was around 5% increase, but the total PST was, for all the support groups and whatnot, is about 3.75% increase. Well, meanwhile, our enrollment has dipped, what it says there, 7.9%. So again, these things are putting stress. We're managing our budget just fine, and I know it kind of maybe increases the anxiety, but we are discussing this every single day, through the stabilization plan and what things that we need to do in order to make sure that we remain stable. This is another stat from the state. This is one we kind of want to be below where they're at. This is students with disabilities. The state average is about 15. You can see how much this has increased over, particularly since COVID, up to 15.09%, and we're at about 16%. And then the same thing with our reserves. We held steady about 22% the last couple of years. We're projected at this point, second interim, to end about 17%, which is about 2 months in cash. The state average for a unified district, though, is 24.36. That is declining. It's declined since last year and probably will continue to decline. And as you know, as the year goes on and we close our books, more than likely we will be above that 17%, which I'm showing right now. That's just a projection. So speaking of projections, we get into that situation where, what is a projection? Well, we take what we know now and we just kind of, the decisions that we have, and we make projections for it. These projections will change. They never come out. I've shown different situations where they come pretty close. We do. Tony does a really good job with the multi-year projection, and with my input and his team's input, and we come pretty close. But there's still these situations where they're changing all the time. Like, for example, we get into our declining enrollment situation. We project how much that's going to change, but we never know exactly how much that's going to change. So here's some MYP considerations. I'm not going to really go over and read all those, but we have certain contract increases that happen every year. We have, like I said, declining enrollment situations. What we're doing with one-time discretionary funding. And like I said, we're constantly taking a look at that, whether or not we need to take a more aggressive approach with our expenditures compared to our revenues. And that changes all the time with the state budget. We're heavily reliant on the state for all of this. So, as far as assumptions for our LCFF is our main point of revenue. These are the assumptions for the next 3 years. Even these, great example of what changes all the time. Just take a look at COLA. The last time I presented COLA was for 26-27, it was, I believe, was 3.07%, and 27-28 was 3.7%. Now COLA is projected at 2.41 and 3.06. So it's this constant changing dynamic. That's why I say we use today's known, and today's known might be tomorrow's change. So we just we do the best we can with those projections and figuring that out, but and try to be as conservative as possible, but still using the data that we actually know of today. And some of this data has changed because from the first interim to second interim, because we just did P1 actuals to where we certified our data compared to what was projected. So as the year goes on, we certify our data at different times, so then it reflects on this. All right, just to kind of show you, I've shown you this slide before, but this is our fund balance with the stabilization plan. Yes, it's still a positive certification. As I mentioned, we were at 22.3% to end the year last year. We're expected to be about 17% the next 2 years, and then 27, 28 to really take somewhat of a dip. But again, these are projections. What's really reducing in these is Fund 17, which is meant to reduce. It's meant to transfer in and support the general fund balance, and then the assignments. When you assign something, you expect to use it in a future year budget. So. These numbers are still okay, and they're far enough out to still be able to do things about it as well. So as I mentioned, nothing's really changed from first interim to second interim. About a $3 million, this is combined general fund, so this is unrestricted and restricted. So about $3 million in change in revenue, and same with expenses. That came from a grant that came in between those two that we had to budget all of the money for expenses. And that's another thing that causes a kind of a false deficit spending look, especially on the restricted side, is when we get these grants in that are multi-year grants, and I've explained this before, we have to budget all the expenditures in each year because it's not a fund balance grant. We can't just put it into a fund balance, it's a carryover. So when it's a carryover, you have to budget everything, and then the next year you get 0 in revenue, but you have to budget everything that you have left over from that grant in that following year. So obviously it's going to show a deficit, that your deficit spending, you're spending more than what you made because you didn't make any that year, you made it the year before. So it's just those type of things that really show an inflated deficit sometimes. So I give you different ways of looking at these, but this is the unrestricted side. A little bit less than LCFF revenue because of the certification of the ADA and the unduplicated pupil percentage. A little bit of we made up for that, a little bit of a reduction in certificated staff based on position reductions and hiring delays and so forth. The services went up a little bit because utilities, we had to readjust our utilities amounts, and transportation we had to add on for the extended school year. And then also we've had some legal settlements this year that have increased that as well. So sort of to make up for that in contributions, we reduced that and use some of the one-time grant fund money to kind of offset those contributions. That $5 million that I talked about earlier helped offset our contributions there to sort of balance things out. So you can see the net increase and decrease just didn't change very much from first interim to second interim. And again, this is what I talked about a little bit earlier, just another way of looking at our multi-year projection and what's happening there. The yellow highlighted items, it's the assignments and the Fund 17 that are being spent down, but we're committed to keeping that committed for as long as we possibly can, the $27.7 million that the board put away, and then the reserve for economic uncertainties, that 3% is there as well. So those two together are about 10%, and as we move through our multi-year projections, we really focus on Fund 17 and the assignments, trying to stay away from those other two. These are just different depictions of what I just talked about. Some people like to look at graphs, some people like to look at spreadsheets, so I throw that in there mainly for the public to be able to take a look at if they would like. So, and then this is finally the other funds that we have. If you look at the fifth column, increases, decreases, you can see that most of these are deficit spending, but that's to be expected. The cafeteria fund has a large fund balance. They need to spend down their money. And then the building fund, capital facilities fund, the special reserve fund are all facilities type funds. So yes, we will be spending those down, and the same with Fund 17. We use that to offset our general fund deficits. So the recommendation is a positive certification. That's what I'm having you vote on in just a couple of seconds. So unless there's any questions.
There any questions?
I'm sorry, guys. Did I go through that too quickly on there? I was speaking pretty fast. I'm sorry.
Wow. Any questions?
She said 20 minutes on the dot. So. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve 17A?
I'll move that.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 17B, approval of certificated and classified employee transactions, OE-4.4. Can I get a motion to approve 17B?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Item 17C, adoption of resolution number 2025-2026-30, approval to adopt and join the association membership agreement joining the Education Technology Joint Powers Authority, EdTech JPA OE-6.3. Can I get a motion to approve 17C?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Item 17D, adoption of resolution number 2025-2026-32, establishing the role of Vice President/Clerk of the Governing Board, BC-4. Can I get a motion to approve 17D?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions?
How are we going to, it should be this. Are we going to change our policy manual now or at a future date to reflect this policy change?
I assume we're changing it now,
We are. Thank you.
moving forward.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
We have to reaffirm member Sally Irving for this new title.
I have a motion after this I'm going to make.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Any other questions? Did we get a second?
Yes. Marcus has. No. Oh.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Aye. So I'm going to go on to my motion. Now that the adoption of resolution number 2025-26-32 has been approved, I'd like to motion that Board Clerk Irvin continue to serve in the role now titled Vice President/Clerk of the Governing Board. Can I get a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Got a
Just
new title.
I take it that went through legal counsel since it wasn't agendized?
Yes, it went through legal counsel, yes.
Yes, sir.
Item 17E, adoption of resolution number 2025-26-33, classified layoffs, OE 4.4. Can I get a motion to approve 17E?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 18, superintendent's consent items, 18A through 18H. Would anyone like to pull an item for discussion or review? Can I get a motion to approve superintendent's consent items 18A through 18H?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Information items 19A through 19B. As a reminder, the following agenda items are informational only and require no action. board has received and reviewed this information. Items 20, do any board members have suggestions for future agendas? Seeing none, we'll go on to item 21. A regular board meeting will be held on March 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Item 22, debrief. Does anybody have anything to debrief?
Yes, I do. Real quick, I didn't mention Jessup Auto. Thank you to them too for helping us be part of our community and taking care of us. I'm not sure how much they did for. I mean, I saw us just enjoying their vehicles. Thank you to Jessup. Also, our interpreters and our sound crew and our security. Everyone stayed at our last meeting past 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And these interpreters were trying to keep up with all of the discussion and following us. And we really appreciate you and thank all of you and the interpreters behind the scenes as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Sherrill, for mentioning that. Item 23, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move for approval.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passed.